Okay. Call to order the July 23rd, 2026 meeting of the City of Olivet Planning and Community Design Commission meeting. For roll call, Laura, will you do the honors?
Absolutely. Um, Felicia Ford, Petrie Powell,
Present.
Sam Wallach.
Present.
I'm Laura Ragsdale, present. Our other members, Jenna Nat and Tim Spiegelglass, are absent.
Very good. Thank you. And we also have Carlos Trejo, Director, and Dawn Doty, Senior Planner, and our City Council Liaison, Council Member Kate Pichon-Hellman. Welcome, everybody. We follow an agenda at the meetings. There should be copies in the back there. We'll go through each of the agenda items, and usually the way it works is that the staff will give a report on the particular item. We might ask the staff some questions. Then the petitioner will come up and talk if necessary. We might ask them some questions and discuss. Then there will be public comments, and then we'll decide what action, if any, we'll take on that particular item. If anybody has public comments not related to any item on the agenda, right after we're done with announcements, there will be time for that. For all speakers, we ask that if you are going to speak, you come up to the microphone up here, make sure that it's on by pressing the button, and you'll see the little red light light up. And please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, just to be respectful of everybody's time. We actually have a fair amount today, so that will be key. Do we have anybody online, Carlos? Looks like maybe one person.
Yes, sir.
So for the folks on Zoom, when it's your time to speak, we ask that you click the raise hand button, and then Carlos will move you over as a panelist, and you'll be able to speak. When you speak, we ask that your camera be on, and just like the speakers who are here, ask that you say your full name and your address before you give your comments. Carlos, did I miss anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Any announcements, Carlos, before we go to public comments?
No, sir.
All right.
Let's have the meeting minutes reflect that Jenna arrived.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes, Jen and Nat is present as well. Okay. Public comments. Anybody have any comments not related to items on the agenda? Seeing none here and seeing none online, we'll move on to item number 3, old business, and 3A 9091 Olive Crossing Suite 100, the Brass Tap. Carlos.
Chairman, this item is going to be deferred. The petitioner is still waiting for the revisions to present to the commission, so that'll be at your August 3rd meeting.
Okay, very good. Then we'll move on to new business, and we'll go to item A, 9375 Dealman Industrial Drive, SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Pediatric Therapy Outpatient Clinic.
Chairman, I'm going to go over just the process. We got 2 special permits, and we kind of did this at the last meeting, but just to give a general general information for the commission and also for the applicants to understand what goes through the special permit process. And they're not looking for any variances or so. It's just that the use that they're proposing isn't permitted by right, but under certain conditions, the city may consider this use to permit it within the location that it is at. So a special permit is the basis for the city to determine the suitability of certain specified uses under prescribed conditions by definition. These uses are not permitted uses except as otherwise determined to be suitable and compatible by the commission and ultimately by the city council that adopts them through ordinance. The city does reserve the rights to deny or revoke applications if they are found to be unsuitable at any point with the conditions that are placed or with the surrounding environment or the underlying zoning district. When we use the term prescribed conditions under our municipal code, the assessment of these type of uses to give it some consistency is provided in the code for the commission to consider and for the applicant to prepare. These goals should be consistent with the goals and objectives of our 2024 comprehensive plan update. The parcel should be suitable for the proposed use given its size, shape, topography, natural features, things of that nature. Efforts should be made to mitigate the spillover effects, such as placement of the use, its height, its size, if it's unique to the area or the surroundings. We look at the location and vehicle access points, so location points, vehicle points, and part of that circulation. We look at parking and loading. We look at signage. We look at noise mitigation. We look at location, lot area, access and traffic, and other defined specified conditions for certain uses. So like in the daycare, because there are state regulations in addition to those by the city, we have other criteria in terms like a lot size, the placement location, and things that apply to make sure that they're safe within the surrounding environment, especially if you're along the Olive Boulevard corridor. Um, so the biggest component of this is we look at how this use helps us implement our comprehensive plan, and that is the city's vision. Our city's vision is that Olivet is a vibrant and unique city, strengthened by its diverse population, invigorated by its opportunities for community connection, and distinguished by its dynamic sense of place. The guiding principles of this vision include attracting businesses that respond to the needs of our residents, provide a reliable funding source for our schools and city services, and retain and grow our existing economic base. So as we assess the next two petitions, we're going to go back to these three principles, and we're going to be looking at the petitioners to help us understand how their proposed uses help implement these three principles in that process. And you'll see in your report, we've kind of created a little systematic checklist on how we do those assessments and how staff recommends conditions in order to implement or encourage businesses to adopt environmentally sustainable business practices, invest in all of that, utilize what we call CPTED principles, which is about crime prevention, to increase the use of native plantings in our community, and to promote our strategic development and growth that is sustainable, diversified, and meets the needs and future generations and operations and all of that. So that is just the overall umbrella. And Chairman, I can go through the first petition, and then of course both of these two petitions are located in our light industrial district, our LID district, where the purpose and intent of that district is to accommodate light industrial manufacturing and warehouse activities at a scale and an intensity of use that is compatible with the development in the city of Olivet. This district isn't going to allow a refinery. It's not going to allow a smelting plant. It's not going to allow stamping to occur or automobile assemblage. It's light industrial, light manufacturing, light warehousing activities that are compatible with our suburban character within the community. And you can see the LID district has a pretty extensive it takes almost about 20% of our land area and zoning that runs from Olive and Price up north of Indian Meadows Park all the way down to the county corner here at Warson and Bauer. The next two petitions will be reflected within those areas. And Chairman, if I can go ahead, I'll start on that first one.
Yep, please do.
So the first one we kind of discussed at our last meeting. Its address is 9375 Dillman Industrial Drive. The petitioner is looking to operate what under our code would fall under medical office and clinic. It's a pediatric rehabilitation facility. The building, you had the information in there, and you can see the illustration on here. Our staff concerns, without going back into the details, were again, what's required by code, the hours of operation, exterior lighting, and landscaping. We kind of went over those in there, and then we have a prepared recommendation on that. Be glad to answer any specific questions. We went over the staff conditions at the last meeting, and would be glad to kind of highlight those again and what the intent of the city is in that process. If you can bear with me 1 second here, because I do have to change the screen for those that are watching online. So you'll note in our report, you weren't sure what the specific hours of operation would be placed. Those are normal things that are applied to uh, a special permit use. In this case, they're in the light industrial district, but wanted to get some guidance of what their hours is. They help with implement our goals of sustainability, investment, crime prevention, and strategic redevelopment in there. We talked about the lighting fixtures that are on the building itself. They're full, they're not cut off fixtures. Those should be replaced. Again, implementing some of our goals in our comprehensive plans, they should be facing downward, or there should be a shield or having them replaced or face downward as opposed to spurting the light directly outward. And there are several locations throughout the building. And then we talked about the landscaping, the need to get some landscaping along. In this case, this building is on the western side of the road, but there should be some additional preferred native landscaping along the parking area and the curve of the road in there. The commission did talk a little bit about sidewalk and access, but I think the overall consensus was that we have sidewalk placed in the industrial park. We don't have a plan to indicate that we're going to expand the current sidewalk system. I think at this point, it would probably something would be best deferred because it would lack an interconnection without this having a grander plan for the area.
Right. Okay.
All right, we'll be glad to answer any questions. I know we have representatives here in attendance.
Has the petitioner made any sort of proposal about their hours of operation? Let's finish talking with Carlos first, then if that's okay.
Let's see, and I think they had in their
regarding the sidewalk access to the site, there is a continuous sidewalk that we had tracked for the comprehensive plan and verified the existence of so that it is continuous and linked to the other sidewalks, although it's just not on this side of the street. I believe that was kept for the purposes of landscaping and providing.
Okay.
Chairman, I don't have anything, and that would be best addressed by the petitioner.
Okay.
I wanted to ask, is this a nonprofit and will they be contributing to real estate taxes and for the schools and the city?
Interesting question, but it's a leased property, so the property owner is probably a for-profit to the best of my knowledge.
Okay. Carlos, I think we touched on this a little bit last time. I think regarding the other conditions here, they seem like probably we could come to an agreement on that, and I kind of doubt petitioner is going to object to them, but I guess we'll see. But I'm wondering about the broader concern about approving something that maybe you think is outside of what qualifies for LID and how that might impact future decisions about businesses that we approve in the district.
I think it warrants some future discussion. I don't think the current comprehensive plan was really focusing in on how the industrial park would evolve. And it does promote, a variety of community needs and community services. And you could consider this within that umbrella. But I think over time, we should have a deep discussion if light industrial is really the proper term in there. For a staff perspective, what this use and the next use is it becomes, everybody's precedent. This was allowed here, so therefore it should be here and all that. And it becomes, we're kind of like the gatekeepers in there. It's like, no, this is a light industrial district we want to promote. Whether it's, back offices, general offices and such. Doesn't directly address your question, but it does make it difficult, down the road as others, if we're seeing this industrial district evolve, we should be proactive and maybe bringing that to the commission to say we should really, promote or permit these type of uses. Not sure also what the mindset was when the use was put together and it was placed as a special permit. It might have been furthering some goal at that time in our older comprehensive plan. When we adopted the dynamic sense of place in 2004, which is our previous one. You know, there was some discussion of more of a commerce, creating commerce as opposed to, you know, going down to more to what the current plan brings it down or breaks it down to more community oriented. So
Okay.
I know that's a long-winded response, but I hope that gives some guidance.
It does.
Can I ask, what are the hours of operation? What are we
I think
talking
they're
about?
going to go over that
Okay.
in a second. I don't have that on myself, so.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for staff? No? Okay, then petitioners, you like to come up? Remember to turn on the microphone, say your name and address. Thank you.
So my name is Laura Masters. I'm the regional director over pediatrics for SSM Health, Cardinal Glennon Pediatric Therapy. I have Ann Hug here, who's our VP of Clinical Operations for SSM Health Physical Therapy, and Tyler, who is here. Carlos is there, who's our rep for the space in terms of the ownership. So our hours of operation, to answer that question first, we're open 7:30 to 6:30, Monday through Thursday, and about 7:30 to 4 on Fridays. So we're a multidisciplinary pediatric clinic. So we do PT, our physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. Our kids are one-on-one attended. So there was some concern of how are kids getting in and out of the space. They are brought in by their guardian. They come into our clinic through the space, and they're then accompanied by the therapist. So there's not like a daycare setting or something where there's multiple kids for one staff member. It's one-on-one. Highly needed in the area. We have a lot of kids on wait lists. This is a very needed thing in the community in terms of pediatric therapy. So
why is the hours of operation of concern?
Kind of narrows it down now that we have it more in there. We have a lot of there's still commerce traffic that comes in and out in that area.
Mhm.
We have a major distribution facility right across the street next door. We have the administrative offices there at Carrollton Bank and there. So it was just how that kind of works within the current circulation of that, or whether this was a 24-hour facility, which, you know,
Yeah.
but it's getting that narrowed down.
Yeah, because I was thinking the same thing. Carrollton's right there. We've got Twin Rivers. We have BJC Pharmacy now. It all seemingly runs under the same hours of operation. So I was just curious maybe why this stuck out. It seems
It's a good question. The use itself, it is because it's providing medical services or clinical services, and there without getting into the logistics of what each of those are. What we did for Mercy, that is a distribution facility for pharmacy thing. So it is consistent with the distribution or warehousing of that. In terms of other medical uses within that area, we do have
but
what's it
Mercy also has a retail side of it, does it not?
it
On the
will along
pharmacy,
all,
yeah.
yes. Yes. And then we do have Medical West, but that is a distribution facility of services too. So this kind of changes the character. Generally, things like a majority of our doctor's offices or clinical type of offices are either on Olive or Olivet Executive, which are zoned more for commercial or office type of uses.
Staff mentions a couple of other conditions related to exterior lighting and landscaping. Any objection to those?
Yeah, I mean, the lighting, I think we're totally good with. I think we need to update all those wall packs anyway. As far as the landscaping, just, you know, kind of a further explanation of what I know it said the west end of the parking lot along Dealman Road is at, you know, a 10-foot section, is it a 50-foot section? You know, ultimately, you know, not saying that we're opposed to it, but we want to try and keep the cost down for all of our tenants. And any excess of, like, you know, if we put 40 bushes along Dealman Road, that's just going to increase all the property expenses. And this whole property is a triple net center. So you know, it's essentially a dollar for dollar pass through onto the tenants.
Okay.
So again, if it's something that's reasonable, something that's limited, we're obviously open to exploring it. If it's something that is pretty exorbitant, I'd like to further discuss it and, you know, understand the why behind.
Okay. Um, I mean, I don't know if anybody wants to jump in on this particular point. I think we'd like to see something. I think the condition is submitting a landscape plan. Carlos, would staff just work with them to
Yeah.
review what that landscape plan is and come up with
Yes.
something everybody can live with?
So I think was a safety, if I'm right through, I think was a safety measure pointed out at like for the shrubbery, just so like kids did not.
That was
spill
part of
on-
it too.
That
Yeah,
was, that was it from the last meeting. It was
Yeah,
because of the roads right there and the traffic.
Yep.
And it does back up sometimes right in that area with the businesses letting out. If a child would be able to run out and like that extra shrubbery might slow
Yeah.
them down a little bit.
and I think, you know, they discussed how it's one-on-one.
Right.
It's controlled access, and I think you did,
Right.
that there's door alarms.
There's door alarms and there's two doors. So you have the front door that you would get into the facility, which our waiting room is there, but then there's another door until once you get into the gym. So there's two passes before they would be able to go out. And our door is a push plate. It's not just, you're not just pushing it. There's a system in place so that they can't just open it and run it. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Again, we're not opposed to it, but just, you know, keep it
Sure.
within reason and.
I do want to add, and not to any offense, but you know, the purpose on our end and why we envision that is, I mean, this is, you're investing in our community. You're seeking a special permit use. You know, this is an industrial park, no doubt about it. I mean, and industrial parks are not the pretty side of the city. But as these type of uses start to transition that special permit, that industrial park, it should look more like than a corporate park or a commerce park in there. And that's the purpose is that we're not looking for, you know, a whole streetscape of plantings. But I would think, I mean, this is at a minimum a 10-year lease, that there could be some effort to do some investment just beyond the walls of the building and in our community too.
Absolutely. And
So I
to
think
kind of further on that, we do plan to beautify the building over the next couple of years. The current owner closed on this property last October, so we're still in the first year of ownership. We had to do some ADA repairs that were unexpected, and were actually pretty costly. So that did tap into cash flow in the first year of ownership. It's not something, these are the owners of this are very successful, very loyal St. Louis family. They own a lot of real estate around St. Louis County. They really do a good job of taking care of their properties. Their properties all look very beautiful. So it's not something that we're going to just sit there and let the property fade over the next 10 years and become an eyesore. It's definitely something that they take a lot of pride in their buildings, and they want them to look nice.
Okay, good. Anybody have anything else for petitioners? No? Carlos, anything else you
No,
want to chat about? Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Any public comments on that agenda item? Seeing none here. We got some folks online. Give them a second. Doesn't look like it. Okay. Well, thoughts, anybody?
I mean, I look at this like it's bringing value to the community. And as far as the hours of operation and the services they provide, I look at it one and the same. I've been through there probably 3 times in the last week, in and out in a retail type situation, which is essentially what you could look at Carrollton or BJC's new pharmacy as. It has a service that you have to stop in. Twin Rivers, I've had to stop in twice this week, and they're selling something. The traffic flow is ebb and flow. I would like to see the landscape and the aesthetics upgraded, especially as we start to evolve that area, which I feel like we're doing. And so that it's bringing some value to the community. But I do think their services alone do that. And I think it's a great addition to all of that. And I'm thrilled that they're considering this area for that.
Great. Agreed. Anybody else? No? Okay. Dietrich?
I'm good.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion?
Make the motion. Motion to forward a recommendation to the city council to consider authorizing a special permit use for AC Richardson LLC, owners of the property grounds addressed at 1215 Dealman Industrial Court, to permit SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Pediatric Therapy outpatient clinic to operate an ambulatory pharmacy. Am I looking at the wrong one?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we'll just strike it from outpatient clinic within the tenant space addressed at 9375, removing to operate an ambulatory pharmacy. And to approve petition for site plan, community design, and concept stormwater review as illustrated in the permit plans presented to the commission on July 23rd. Is that accurate? Okay. As noted in the memorandum for the Department of Planning and Community Development dated July 23rd, 2026, subject to any staff conditions noted therein.
Motion's made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Carlos, will you call the vote?
Commissioner Nat,
What do I say? Approve. What was I gonna say?
Commissioner Ford,
Approve.
Commissioner Ragsdale,
Approve.
Commissioner Powell,
Approve.
Commissioner Wall.
Approved.
And the motion passes unanimously. The next component of the process would be to schedule a public hearing before the Olivet City Council. That will be on August 25th at 7:00 PM, same building. Okay. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. We'll move on to item B, which is 1220 North Price Road, AIM Field Hockey. Carlos?
Chairman, in this case, we received the application to operate what we call in the zoning terms an indoor recreational facility. This would be Ames Field Hockey in the tenant space identified as 1220 North Price Road. Specifically, I'm going to call it Suite 4, and that's this yellow portion here. This is a pretty large building. It's over it's 150,000
Pickle?
square feet. Battle and Pickle is 1B. And then door.com has this area here. So Paddle and Pickle kind of L shapes this way in there, but you are correct about the location. In there used to be, going back on history, it used to be a manufacturing facility for Southern Comfort, and they added and added and added and added. So it's a very strange and unique configuration of a building. There's a huge basement underneath 1B, which is now being used by auto beauty specialists for storage. In there. So in this case, there's this one piece left here along that southern end, and they're proposing a recreational facility, specifically an indoor field hockey in those warehouse spaces. It consists of two spaces. You can see here space on the south and then a space a little bit north, kind of centered in there. You have the layout of the floor plan here. I'm going to rotate this building clockwise. And now it kind of creates an L, and then that follows what you see here in the floor plans for the interior of the building. And mostly it's a turf field in there that allows use in an area called A, and then an area called B here. The building does have a mezzanine, so you can kind of stand above and kind of look overhead, and that's along this area here. And it kind of is laid out in different tiers. There are a lot of steps into that building. One of the things that we would want the petitioner to kind of talk about are the entry points and where the parking will be for that, because it is unique, and given that there's different levels, we want to make sure that either parking is in the field on the southern edge here or more in the center of that field. And then in addition to that, as we look at the building getting leased and the site as a whole, there are some landscape issues that need to be addressed there. There's some broken fences in the site. And then, of course, some of that lighting is no longer compliant in there. More modern lighting than what we have in a previous petition, but they need to angle those downward, especially since we have residential properties immediately behind this parcel in there. Overall, it is the same question to the commission. You know, this is a special permit. It's a recreational in an industrial park. You know, we allowed one, we paddle and pickle in there, and now we're gonna allow two. We also have the bridge center in the building, you know, so again, it just brings the question of, you know, light industrial or what should it be? If the other thing to consider, and this is my soapbox on this, is that as we kind of engage with people interested in investing in all of that or be occupying in all of that, it always puts us in a position because we can't assist to expedite things. There's lack of a better word, you know, red tape to go through this a process if this is something that we want to promote or see. So that concludes what I have on in my presentation. We have representatives here that can talk about the interior space and again address the issues about access and parking.
Can you tell us who is leasing the other, I mean, what type of businesses there are and what
Oh,
kind of
absolutely.
parking requirements they're
Well,
having?
it's not in terms of the overall number of stalls. That's not the concern. So this space here
Mhm.
is door.com. And they have some general administrative offices and then storage for distribution. This space here, the 1B and this leased up here, that is paddle and pickle. So you do have a lot of people coming in and out in there, depending on the club in the day.
So the 1B and that little lease spot is all Padel and Pickle right there.
This one, what?
Uh,
Oh, yes, this
top
one right
left,
here.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what's 4?
4
Yes,
is the vacant
that's
space
the
that they're
one.
looking at.
So it's, okay.
It's a very
It's
small
small.
space compared to the other two. And then under here at 1B, underneath, there's a full basement. And that's been leased by Auto Beauty Specialists and they store vehicles down.
The full building square footage is somewhere around 140,000 square feet.
And
So going to the
The whole-
parking, just want to make sure on the parking that it's clear, because there is plenty of parking on the site. It's the just, it's the doors for this building are here and here. They're not ideal. They're either right in the middle of this notch here or right over here. So I want to know, you know, how are they getting their clients in and out safely in that parking field? Because you have this lane that kind of comes off the roadway here, where the parking field is here. And if they're all parking up here, is that coordinated with door.com? But I have a lot of parking over here, but you can't without walking in the middle of the roadway. So
Can I ask, what is door.com's lease terms? Are they 5 years, 10 years? Do we know?
we would hope it's a 10-year. I don't know the specific answer.
The reason I ask is because I actually think that's pretty small for a field hockey indoor. And I would think that Ames probably considering growth.
Possible. Now, I know they do have, and they can talk about it. This is 2 facilities. This would be a practice facility in there, and I think they provided some information on like their current operations in there. So it is possible that they could look at the whole site down the road. Door.com for Olivet is a great business when you look at it from a revenue perspective.
Mhm.
Carlos, I see in your assessment here, you talk about potentially rezoning this as a public activity.
Again, if it goes, it's just playing with that question, now we have 2 recreational spaces in an industrial building,
Yeah.
which again, it's a transition of the times and maybe we should really reassess on there. If, especially if, to go through a special permit process, you're looking at 60 to 90 days before you can even apply for a building permit. And those delays have a toll on the negotiations and how quick somebody can move in there. So it makes our process a little bit difficult as we're trying to tell them, you're not permitted by right, but you can maybe go there, but I can't guarantee that they'd say it's okay, type of thing. And it's not,
Yeah.
it's not the best way to conduct business, economic development.
Assuming Door.com stays in their lease space, is there opportunity for AIM to grow and expand the building or building owner to expand? And therefore, should we look at what that would potentially do to parking? And I only ask because it's an incredibly growing field
Mhm.
and that space seems small. And if I'm thinking futuristically, I could see where that would grow very quickly in this area between Ladue and U City and Clayton. And I just want to take into consideration that if they have availability in their lease or in that space to grow the building futuristic down the line, what would that do requirement wise for parking for the rest of the space? Because I think that they'll end up there. If we allow AIM to come
Mhm.
in this location, it will probably
From a planner's
double in size.
perspective, like, so let's take door.com, and they probably have to an extent standardized hours. Everybody probably comes in pretty close within the time, probably within an hour. Everybody probably leaves within the specific time, probably within an hour from each other. In their best of my knowledge, is not a 24 type operation. Paddle and Pickle has people coming in and out, in and out throughout the time. Facility like this will have people come in and out through all the time, maybe in a little bit of larger group than two people going to Paddle and Pickle or so. There's plenty parking in the field. You see that they have a large green space here. We try to preserve that. If they were to expand the parking, it would trigger MSD review, and they would probably be required some type of detention in there. So it's doable, but there are things that they would have to be cognizant of. Going back from as a planner, if you have two types of recreational uses, they can work compatibly depending on what type they are. So if you have a facility that like such as Paddle and Pickle, that they have team plays coming in and going throughout the day, and then practice facilities that come in at certain times of the day, there may be opportunities where they can work on there. There's a lot of space on the north side here where you see these trailers. They're no longer there, but it's a large empty parking lot. The thing about it is it's not close to a door in there. And there were ways to get that, people to park over here and safely get them around the street and around the corner, that they get more parking. Going to what I think is the primary point of your question is, can they expand the building? My response would be absolutely yes, but there'll be some things that we'll have to figure out.
Okay.
Is anything that they're doing here changing the character of the building in such a way that if they left at some point, that a more traditional LID use couldn't go back in there?
No, I think they do a nice job in their petition application of noting. I mean, it's a unique space that they have. This two L's with these two big spaces with a small spine that kind of connects the two. And I'll go back to this. We've met with the previous owners to try to find, and talk to different tenants to take it up. I'm not saying that it was done like this purposely, but as tenants came in and didn't see a value here, they just cut off that space. Same thing happened here. Then we had a whole basement trying to figure out how do we get a basement.
Right.
And we were fortunate to find across the street needed space. This space is, it will be a difficult space to try to find an ideal tenant.
Right.
In there.
Okay.
I think this is a big revenue generating opportunity for Olivet. And I would think that Padel and Pickle would also view this as revenue generating for themselves, because when you have parents that are coming who maybe have never even noticed Padel and Pickle, they will probably start to notice it. And I think it could grow very quickly for both companies.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody have anything else for staff? No? Okay. Petitioners?
Hello, I'm Chris Paul now. I'm a broker representative for AIM Field Hockey. Lauren couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately. She wanted to be, but I've been working with her for probably about 18 months trying to find the right space for this operation that she wants to do for 1220 North Price. And this is Jim Summers.
My name is Jim Summers. I'm with Sands Property Solutions, and we're the ones that are developing the property for Lauren and doing the build out,
Great,
And he's also managing.
managing it too for the new owners.
great. Okay,
So-
good.
I think I can probably address a lot of these questions. You're specifically about usage. And so this is a unique facility. None of the other field hockey groups in St. Louis have their own practice facilities right now. And so Lauren was in an office and they clamor over each other to get field space. So they use like Kirk Field House, they use Veta Sports. In the summers, she goes to Principia and has a couple other exterior outdoor fields that they practice on. And that's for large group team training exercises.
Can I interrupt you? Who's
Yep.
Lauren?
Lauren Cornthwaite is the owner of AIM. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So this facility is a little bit different. We went to from the beginning of being in a small office space into her wanting to have a little bit more control over her destiny and not being at the whim of the renting space from these other facilities. So she came up with the idea to do small group training. So this will be a facility that won't represent having a whole team, a whole full field of field hockey players in the facility at once. It's going to be one-on-one, maybe 4 players to do a small group session in the larger area. So the big space on the left, on the bottom of that drawing is 4,400 feet. And that's free clear span, no columns in it. It's a unique space. There's really not a whole lot of it available in the whole county, really with anywhere in the central corridor, which is where primarily their athletes come from. So this space here will be turfed. The rectangular space will have some turf in it. It'll have workout area in it. It'll have video production area. So that will be like a really small training facility area, kind of a couple different complements to her business. So she can bring her players in when she doesn't have reserve space, work with them, look at team videos, do college applications and group training. So they're not modifying the space, but the 4,400 feet is okay condition. The 2,000 or 2,200 feet rectangle is awful. It's unloadable. There's no really way to get in and out of it other than to come through the 4,400 feet. The bigger space, the 4,400 on the corner, has a loading dock, but the loading dock comes up and makes a 90-degree turn into the drive-in door. So with the location of price to that loading door, there's really no way, in my opinion, as being in real estate for over 15 years, that you can fix that loading issue. And you can't put loading on any of the other walls for that space because parking. It will absolutely obstruct the whole parking. You need about 120 feet of drive-in just to put a door in for an 18-wheeler. And I don't think this facility is really geared towards 18-wheelers. As far as her staff goes, it's really Lauren and Casey are the 2 primary coaches for the team. And then they have 2 other staff. Really, they're the 2 that are in all the time. So they're the ones doing all the work. Other than that, they hire coaches to come do different practice sessions. So it's not really a heavy use. I would say maybe the top amount of people they would have in there at one time is 10. And to answer your question, I really hope this blows up for her and goes really well. I mean, it's not mean that she can put more players in here. It means that she's done something right and kind of taken a risk to go do something different that other people aren't. So if that's the case and everything's great and all of that, hopefully we can go find a bigger space for her after 5 years. She is under lease because Pedal and Pickle and the previous owners didn't tell us that it wouldn't be approved because of the nature of the building and having door and lock in there and Pedal and Pickle and all that. We just kind of were like, okay, let's go get our building permit. And so that was a little bit of oversight from all of us. So she's in her construction period. She's very excited about this. This is going to be a huge compliment. It's going to bring in a lot of people. It's a safe area for these girls to come and practice. And I think it's going to be a great compliment to this facility with Pedal and Pickle and all the restaurants that you guys have to offer. And it will really drive people into your community. So that's Do you guys have any other questions about?
What are you anticipating for hours of operation?
I would anticipate it'll be similar to Pedal and Pickle. But I don't see them being open till 10 o'clock at night. I mean, these are high school kids.
They usually end by 8 p.m.
Yeah, I mean, I would say 7 in the morning to 8.
Okay. Staff identified some other conditions in here about exterior lighting and landscaping and the fencing issue. Any objections to that?
Well, the fencing issue has been fixed. There's tractor trailers that are on the bridge lot that actually kind of encroach on the property line of this property. And one of them hit it. That was been repaired in the ABS, Auto Beauty Specialist, construction. So
Okay.
that the fence has all been repaired.
What about the landscaping and exterior lighting?
The landscaping, I can address that with the ownership. That has not been a topic, but I can certainly bring that up, and I'm sure they're willing to do whatever reason we have to do.
Okay.
I would just ask that I know I've met and spoken with the new owners of the building, and they're nice guys and they are excited about this use. I would just ask that we don't have that hold up her petition to get going on the construction in her space.
Carlos, thoughts on that?
I mean, we're willing to work with the petitioner. They have the engagement with the property owner. And so, so do we, if we have to work from a code enforcement side. But some of the conditions in here, because I think what you're describing that's been repaired is on the north side. This is the southern side, and you can see the condition of the fence along here. And one of the things that I haven't figured out on this building is, it's an industrial property adjacent to residential properties. Typically, the industrial property provides the buffer. So I am trying to research on how there's a variety of fences in there that doesn't look like a screen buffer was ever put in place. And that might have been because at that point they had put a whole bunch of pines and trees in there, but a lot of them are now gone and dead in there. So, they're going to have to address that, and it is the responsibility, of course, of the owner, but this is an opportunity for you to kind of help us get that moving.
Right.
So
We totally happy to do that. And I don't think that that's something that they wouldn't be willing to do. They haven't owned the building that long. They bought it this spring. They're out of town owners. Jim is here. He's been working hard for them. They don't have a representative. And since he did Auto Beauty Specialist and is working with AIM, they wanted to retain him as representation for the management, which is outside of his normal scope. So this is a little bit, but he's good at communicating with them and getting stuff done. So we will work to help you with that. And I think all the tenants in the building would want that. But I also have to say, not to say that more doesn't need to be done, but the building, I looked at this building 6 years ago, and this thing was pretty bad. So like the transformation is really pretty cool to see, and some of the tenants they brought in, and I think it's a major step up for Olivet, and I think the aesthetics of the building overall are much better. But I agree, seeing that fence, which I had not noticed before, it needs to be addressed.
Okay. I think the only other thing I had was just the parking. I assume the parking is going to be right in front, right there. That's the plan.
They won't be exiting on the Price side. There is a door there,
Yeah.
a fire escape, but the primary entrance is going to be the arrow on the left. And the way that parking lot lines up, there's not traffic circle. I mean, it's not like there's a cul-de-sac or something. It's not a lot of traffic. That's the pinch point for their parking. So in that parking field exiting that door, I don't see any issues with safety.
Okay. Anybody?
I would say as long as it's well lit. I think in the evenings when we start to lose daylight, and as these programs really excel is in the winter because they're turf fields and you get them locally and they're convenient. And you get higher traffic in the winter time. So I would just say as long as there's enough lighting, that would be my biggest concern. More than the landscape, unfortunately. I think that's probably.
Yep.
Mhm.
I agree, lighting just from taking my own child to.
Sports at
Sports-
past 5 in the winter.
Right, evening
Yeah.
sports facilities at night.
Yeah.
walking out at 8, 9, 10 o'clock as he got older, before he could drive. The 16-year-olds were practicing at 9 o'clock at night. You're finishing at 10, 10:15, and some of those lots are really dark.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
So we don't have a problem with that. I mean,
So-
that makes sense to us, and that's
Mhm.
something Lauren would want anyway, or
Yeah.
aim.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, she wants these girls to be safe. So this is a big reason why we picked here, because you can find bigger buildings or less cheaper rent in different locations, but this is an open building in a good community with good complementary tenants, not a lot of traffic. I mean, it's a good location for them. And the space sat for a long time because the building had been added on to so many times that the whole building's not, for light industrial, it's kind of functionally obsolete the way it's laid out, the way it's been kind of pinched. This is an old bottling facility, so actually you can't even really stack in it. Below it, they had glass pipes that run through the floors in the basement where they would put the Southern Comfort through. So it's not like you can put a big load on the floors. They're concrete, but there is a basement there as well that I think that eventually the landlord will try to lease. But they were almost, in our discussions with them, the conversation was tabled because they didn't see the investment to get their money out of the amount of money that has to go in. So Lauren's the one spending most of the money to improve the space. So AIM is putting a significant investment into this because they saw the space, they liked it a lot, it works for them. And so they're the ones putting in the money and more than the landlord, because the landlord's like, we can't lease this thing, it's sat forever, we don't see the value. So she stepped up and said, I'll make it how I want it.
All right. Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Chairman, just beforehand,
Mhm.
just, again, I just want to get clarification because I'll have to explain it during the permitting. So the principal entrance is this door here?
Yes.
This is just an emergency exit?
Yes.
On the
So
right
there's,
side?
All the handicap parking's in the area up there, right there where the
Correct.
pointer is.
and they're gonna put in a ramp. And the other side, that's where all of the electrical and the risers for the sprinklers are. So
Along
it doesn't make
with-
sense
correct.
to have
So-
them passing.
All the utilities.
The user parking will be somewhere in this field here.
Yeah.
Correct.
As you have that. And then it makes it difficult without the property owner, but I mean, this latch or door.
They had a first right of refusal on the space, which they waived.
Mhm.
I think they might have one if AIM were to leave after their lease, which is 5 years, but they said it's okay. Drew, the landlord rep at the time, explained that to him, went to them, talked to him about it, and they said, that's fine, we'll pass on the space.
And then to me, that's fine, that's on the business side, but for us or the city, it's more that, the people know how the parking configuration here is going to work. So if there's, during their business hours, it seems like a very light user and that's great. In there, it's trying to avoid the call of like where did all these
Absolutely.
vehicles come from,
I know how that
in
works.
there,
You
because-
got to keep your tenants happy and kind
Well,
of,
and for us, we're trying to explain something that we don't have a control over,
Right.
so I'm also assuming hoping that the conversation has commenced
well,
with
predominantly,
tenants.
except for in the summers, Padel and Pickle and Ames uses are somewhat similar on hours, but during most of the year, these kids will be in school, so door or latch or lock or whatever they're called,
Will be kind of,
They'll-
off and on,
they won't be really
Staggered.
conflicting on
Mhm.
major business hours.
Also, if it helps, Door Lash, they work from home on Fridays. There's no one in the office on Fridays.
And then what is the parking across the street? Cause is that Enterprise's back door?
Let me, bear with me 1 second here, and then, so this
That
area,
overflow, yeah.
yeah, this is all part of Enterprise.
So
Or,
also in the evenings, just for overflow parking, that could also be extended, could it not?
that it's private parking, I couldn't.
You
commit to
cannot,
that,
okay.
And then there's the railroad, the old, railroad right away that will become part of the trail system, in there, but they can get in discussions with them, I mean, that's.
Okay,
We wouldn't
just
be
as
opposed
I'm
to.
thinking growth
Mhm.
further down.
Okay. Anything else, Carlos?
No, that was it. Thank
All
you.
right.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Any public comments on this agenda item? Seeing none here. Anybody online? Give you a second. Okay, seeing none there.
None, Chairman.
All right. Any further discussion? I mean, for me, like, I don't know, it's pretty hard to deny the basis of use since they're in the same building as Bedell and Pickle, and so I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, I see this as a huge revenue generator for all of it. So, I mean, I think our restaurants are going to thrive. I think it's going to grow beyond what they're getting very quickly.
Yeah.
Personally.
Okay. If nobody has anything else, anybody want to make a motion?
I can make a motion.
Go for it.
Motion to forward a recommendation to the city council to consider authorizing a special permit use for new Blueprint Partners LLC, owners of the property grounds addressed at 1220 North Price Road, to permit AIM Field Hockey to operate enclosed recreational facility, more specifically an indoor hockey practice facility within the tenant space addressed at 1220 North Price Road, and approve the petition for site plan, community design, and concept stormwater review as illustrated in the permit plans presented to the commission on July 23rd, 2026, as noted in the memorandum from the Department of Planning and Community Development dated July 23rd, 2026, subject to any staff conditions noted therein.
Thank you. Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second has been made. Carlos, please call the roll.
Approve.
Approved.
Commissioner Ragsdale,
Approved.
Commissioner Powell,
Approve.
and Commissioner Wallach.
Approved.
The motion passes unanimously, 6-0. Or 5-0, sorry. All right, so the next step in the process does have to go to the city council to go through a public hearing and second reading, and the public hearing would be scheduled August 25th. What I'll do is I'll have an inspector reach out next week to start kind of going and discussing the plan circulation with Mr. Summers in there that can kind of help expedite the process in there.
All right, great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to item C, text amendment, coin-operated self-service laundromats in the COR district. Carlos.
Chairman, is any code, there is a process to amend sections of the code and such. Either they're initiated by staff as part of implementing the objectives and goals of our comprehensive plan, or they're initiated privately by a petitioner that's looking at doing a use or activity that isn't necessarily listed in the district that they're looking at. In this case, we have a petitioner that is is requesting the city consider coin-operated self-service laundromats in the COR district. That's our commercial office retail district in there. They did a very nice job in terms of explaining the type of use and some background and how they view it in terms of that. But to give you some background of the code, we don't allow coin-operated self-service laundromats. They're specifically accepted or prohibited or called out in our COR district. In there, that table, I believe, was adopted in 2014, plus or minus some years in there. So I can't tell you the specifics or the rationale for prohibiting those type of uses. We allow dry cleaners, dry cleaning operations in there, but for the reasons of that time when the table was put together, these were specifically prohibited in there. When we look at special permits, the petitioner is going to talk about, amending the code, the sections of the code that would allow it, and then looking at the types of conditions that would be applied to this type of use, which were hours of operation, staffing management, security measures, appearance design, loitering, refuse, material storage, parking, and compatibility review. Those are all outlined in the information that was provided by the petitioner in there. So where I'm going to go is kind of talk about the COR district. The COR district, here's Olive and I-170. The COR district kind of starts here at Price, and pretty much extends all the way a little bit west to Stacy Park off of Old Bonham Road. And it is primarily the red parcels that you see along here. They go up here in our industrial park all the way to the Shops at Price Crossing. And right now within that district, we would only allow, again, dry cleaning establishments um, in the district. And this is how it's laid out. We allow, this is a numerical code that's assigned by the U.S. Census and the NAICS that they allow dry cleaning and laundry services, and our code says except coin operated. They have to be under 5,000 square feet. If they're over 5,000 square feet, they're required a special permit. Regardless of the use, that they are conditions that the city has placed for dry cleaning establishments and laundry services. They have to be east of Olivet Executive and west of Indian Meadows. They have to be in a site that's 80,000 square feet or more. If they're part of a multi-tenant space, they can't exceed more than 25% of, let's say, a shopping center in there. And then they are required to submit an access and traffic report in the process. Going back one in that map, it means from this point here, Olivet Executive, you can see the Taco Bell ABC Trading is on one end, and CADA is on the western end. We'll permit dry cleaning establishments from Price to this point, and then from Indian Meadows, which is a little bit of west of center, all the way down towards Stacy Park. The intent was based on the 2004 comprehensive plan. The goal was to encourage more retail opportunities between Olivet Executive and Indian Meadows. So as you do that, petitioner is here to wants to talk about that. We did look at other communities, and I think you have it within your reports where their conditions are. They kind of varied. U City was the most flexible, to Clayton just saying no on that. But I think when we have this discussion, consider why we don't permit them in there. And I don't know, I couldn't tell you the specifics. They have evolved. They're no longer, these, intense type of operations in there. Should it be integrated in a multi-tenant facility, or should it be standalone? How does it further our comprehensive plan goals? And then, we do have, our comprehensive plan also contains as an addendum our catalyst strategy, and that is the city trying to control or curate is the term that's used, uses along that Olive Boulevard corridor, and that's something that we would have to consider. At this point, we're kind of introducing the item. The petitioner is providing you some written information on that. There's no actions that will be taken, but and then any direction for staff to research or look into, or if there's more information that the petitioner would want to look at. The one point that I will stress again, amending the code amends the types of uses that are permitted in the district. It's not self-isolated into a certain point or so. What is allowed here, you're going to have to allow here when you consider an amendment to that. And this is a pretty long district along that corridor. Through the special permit process, again, the city maintains some authority to determine where it's not set as a precedent. It may be appropriate here, but it may not be appropriate in another location. So you still maintain some control in there, but it goes always back to that question. We're trying to guide and promote economic development, or developers who trying to streamline a review process, and permits are always type of a situation that becomes difficult if it's just based because of prior precedents. So be glad to answer any questions on that. I know it's kind of all over the place.
I have
a
couple of comments and questions. We have just put in a significant amount of rental housing in Olivet. And I would imagine that a coin-operated self-service laundromat would be very attractive to folks in and along Olive and in the surrounding areas where these large developments are. I'm sure they all include some sort of laundromat within them, but maybe not. And to me, it seems like as we are adding new types of housing, that is one service that I would look to if I was deciding whether or not to rent, is how far away is the laundromat? I don't really think, I suspect that they didn't allow laundromats, coin operated. I suspect that that's a socioeconomic issue that drove that exclusion, but I think we're at a different place now. We want diversity, we want affordability, and the increase in rental housing here, to me, would warrant this type of service being provided within the commercial district. This is my thoughts.
Thank you, Petrie.
Mhm.
Anybody else have anything?
I'm curious, just to that point, Carlos, are you aware of the apartments that we've had come in recently, whether they, most of the apartments have laundry within the units? Like I know Irvington Place, just touring there, they had the laundry in the individual units. I'm just curious if that's, if
I
you
would-
know if that's the case.
I'm pretty sure two of the three larger developments that we've had, which is the Crossing and Irvington Place, has the units have access to having, providing their own, water support and exhaust in the units. I don't recall whether the Oliver had a centralized space or it was within the unit itself.
It's within the unit.
Okay. And then the older facilities, the Eden Rock, the Olive Point, those are generally in the basement areas per building.
I guess from my perspective, I'm kind of struggling to come up with a reason why to exclude coin operated versus the others. I know maybe we can't go back in time and see what the reasoning was at the time. Nothing's jumping out to me. I mean, unless
I'm concerned about hours of operation and
Yeah.
lingering. If I think about sending my kids out, if we think about even what we talk about the comprehensive plan and sidewalks and safe space and aesthetics, and if we start to approve this, what does that look like from not only an aesthetics but a safety aspect? And it's one thing if you look at the red zones you showed and it's tucked away off Olive, but once you allow it, then it can be anywhere in those red zones on Olive, which really back up right to a housing community. And
What kind of people are you suggesting go to self-service laundromats that we should be fearful of them?
I guess I was thinking more of the lingering of all hours. I mean, just you're waiting outside. If someone's sitting out waiting for their washer dryer for all hours of the night, I mean, what hours are we discussing that this is?
But those could be addressed in the conditions for a special use permit. So, I mean, these are the conditions you can put on there. So assuming we can get reasonable hours of operation, good lighting, loitering, prevention, whatever that means. It seems to me that there's a stigma that is not so veiled here, that I think is unfortunate, since we claimed that we want to have housing affordability and we want to have services for our residents. I don't see large groups of teenagers walking down Olive in the middle of the night either. So I just don't agree with that perspective.
I think part of this probably we need some feedback from the petitioner about what operations are going to look like. I mean, one question I had was whether or not there's going to be employee or someone there during hours of operation or not. I mean, I guess I could see that as
Yeah.
I don't know, something to think about. Okay. Anybody have anything else?
I tend to agree with the safety issue because when you are in a coin operated laundry facility, you're spending a lot of time there, large amount doing nothing, which could open you up to, if it's late at night, safety concerns. And if it's not someplace that's staffed, where, you know, you have security measures there, it could seriously be unsafe, especially I think for any female that might be out late because she has to be, because that her work schedule says I gotta go do laundry at 10 o'clock at night. It becomes unsafe. Um, and I think that would be my biggest concern because there is a lot of loitering that goes on. And sometimes, and I'm not thinking of any particular group of people at all, but if you see a place that's open at night, you may go in and sit there because it's a place that you can be inside. And you may not be doing laundry. You may just be trying to get inside. So I think that becomes a safety issue. And I've gone to laundromats, so coin operated. So it can it could be unsafe.
My only thought in this is that, you know, when those are in use, it's because the apartment complexes or the condos don't have access, or you're near rural areas, campsites. So things that where you don't have a quick access if there's an emergency situation, there's rain or whatnot. So I think of that as a real need. I have a concern about all of that being thought of as like a need in that situation, and then therefore, how is that operated and how is that maintained? And does that um, help the not only the aesthetics but then the value of the city? And it's not to take away the diversity factor of our plan and the apartments or anything else. I would consider it more if we were approving apartment complexes that didn't provide. But I don't think that's the case. I don't feel like we've approved multifamily housing that doesn't provide that type of amenity space. And I think that this is more of a need in communities that aren't approving better multi-housing.
Maybe it'd be helpful to hear from the petitioner to talk a little bit about how the operations are going to work, unless anybody has anything else to discuss. Petitioner's here. Please come on up. Just a reminder, say your name and address, and the microphone is off, so please press the button when you get up there. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Mary Julian, and this is Kevin Fry. He is the laundromat expert, and he's been in the business for over 25 years. Okay, so why is Olivet location appropriate? 4 reasons why. 1, prime commercial corridor. 2, it provides a needed service. A laundromat meets a need. There's over 14,000 residents that reside in 63132 zip code alone. And that consists of apartment and condo renters, seniors, students, homeowners, and working households that may not have adequate laundry facilities. Residents should be able to access this basic service within their own community rather than having to travel elsewhere. Providing convenient access to basic laundry services support an existing community need. Number 3, it reuses existing commercial space. The amendment would encourage occupancy of existing commercial storefronts. It provides additional options for property owners seeking to sustain tenants. It also it fills vacant commercial space to support the city's economic growth and tax base. The 4th reason is low impact use. Modern laundromats are not the laundromats of decades ago. They are clean, professionally managed, and often attended for portions of the day. They generate limited noise and no outdoor impacts. Traffic is spread throughout the day, and comparable to other retail space businesses. Will this hurt nearby businesses? Actually, laundromats often increase foot traffic. Customers frequently visit nearby restaurants, coffee shops, convenience stores, and other retailers while waiting for laundry cycles to finish. Is this the right image for Olive Boulevard? Modern laundry centers have evolved significantly. Many of them feature updated interiors, high efficiency equipment, digital payment systems, and attractive storefronts that complement surrounding commercial development. My goal is to redefine the traditional laundromat experience. I envision creating an upscale laundromat that elevates the customer experience and becomes a positive gathering place for the neighborhood. Why not keep the current code? The amendment simply expands the list of businesses that may occupy commercial space. It gives property owners and future tenants greater flexibility while still maintaining all existing zoning, building, and operational regulation. I believe permitting coin-operated and self-service laundromats within the core district is consistent with the purpose of a commercial district, supports local economic activity, fills a community need, and provides a productive use for commercial property along Olive Boulevard. And those reasons, well, for those reasons, I respectfully ask for your consideration and support of this text amendment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you.
Some of the commissioners have expressed concerns about hours of operation and staffing. Could you talk a little bit about what you're envisioning there?
Yes, so the hours of operation will be from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. It will, and an attendant will be there from 10 a.m. until closing, 9 p.m.
Okay.
There will be sufficient lighting. There will be the entire front window will be all glass. That way people can see straight in, especially women can see straight in and see who's inside of the laundromat. There are all, I do want to provide an upscale laundromat. So there will be a coffee bar inside. There will be also pastries for purchase, vending machines. I want a Panero kind of feel of a laundromat, very welcoming, very inviting, comfortable. It will be clean. It will be kept clean. It would have high efficiency equipment. And Kevin here can speak to you all about how the equipment has evolved over the time.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I put in over 50 coin laundries in and around the St. Louis area over the past 25 years. They have evolved. We just put in a massive one up in Florissant. And if you want to Google it, you can. It's called Blue Spring. Just opened up. Unbelievable. And you can see what the customers are getting. This equipment has touch screens on it. They talk to you in over 30 different languages. It's not your common laundry anymore. What we're finding, and I'm a laundromat owner also in the O'Fallon area. I own laundromats there, O'Fallon, Missouri. It's a service that the homeowners are coming to. They're doing their comforters. They're doing their sleeping bags. Washers break down all the time. They're always coming in. We also had trucks go out into the community to pick up right at the doorstep, bring it back in, wash it, take it right back out. That's one thing Mary wants to do too. It's always had a stigma. I've dealt with it for 25 years, but the coin laundry is a lot different now than it has been. If you do this and you do it right, and Mary is committed to that, it's a viable function that communities need, because we see it all the time. I see it all the time in O'Fallon, Missouri. having two of them right there with a high income and stuff like that. But I'll see working parents come in because they get behind, they have 30 loads of laundry to do. They'll have the whole family, they get it done in 2 to 3 hours and they go. It's how you present it is how you're going to get the people. And that's why we have some pictures. There's other ones, but the coin laundry is evolving. It's unbelievable what we can do now.
Can you tell us, if you know the answer to this, is what type of revenue they typically have for the size that you're looking at, the 5,000 square feet or whatever it is?
Your average revenue can vary between, I think I've projected this store out at about 30 to 35,000 a month in and around that area. So that's a revenue base with the demographics and the type of machines that we have.
Do you have a space identified already or that
Yes, I
you're
do.
focused on?
It is the ABC Trading Building
Okay.
at 9345 Olive, 63132.
Yes.
That's
She has a
okay.
contract.
It's a standalone, right? Yeah.
That's a good location.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything walkable right there? I'm trying to remember.
Taco
Yeah, okay.
Bell, Mobile.
Mobile.
I mean, you could go down to the,
I'm trying to remember the
Walk-
sidewalks
There's
are good right there.
Walgreens is walkable from there
I
easily.
mean, while coming this way is Walgreens, going the other way is CVS, and you could cross over. Price would be.
And it's all sidewalk right there.
There
So I
is
was trying to
sidewalks out
remember.
there.
There's also the barbecue place as well.
Right, if you go down, you can then cross over, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's totally walkable.
Okay.
I think hearing that, with restrictions, the 9 PM, I think is very reasonable.
And that location does not back up to any opposite.
Yeah, right. It's just once you approve it, then it opens up, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right.
But it would be, I mean, it's
You'd
still
have
a
to restrict
special,
them.
yeah, I mean, we can
Yeah.
put in conditions and they
Yeah.
include all of the, listed here. So,
Mhm.
I agree that you have a very specific one and you have a business partner here that is going to do it right.
Yes.
It's the next guy that comes in, will they? And then what we have here is the conditions to make sure it's right.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have anything else?
I had a couple of comments in this, and open to the use, and I'll get to that in a second here. But it is important that the commission members look at the catalyst strategy. That is your community, what was provided, back in, I think it's a 2018 or 2019, which the process has changed, but it was validated again with the 2024 comprehensive plan update in there, that the goal along this corridor was to kind of promote small businesses that promoted retail and other amenities that filled a community need. This may be one in there. Two is to take a look at this is the whole COR district. It doesn't matter where they're looking, and I'm surprised that they put a contract on something that isn't even allowed. And that's a pretty big risk, but that's not my business in there. So this is about the corridor as a whole and whether we would permit those type of uses. Three is the special permit. It's an extremely valuable tool for communities in there. So if, the quality of a redevelopment is covered by code and chapter 428, and there, I'm not sure they're looking to tear down and rebuild, that'd be great. But they need to be aware of the city's requirements are going to come and play into the process to make sure that it's a highly quality building. So it shouldn't matter what's inside. It's just going to look good in there. If it's a retrofit, they need to be aware of the goals and objectives of our comprehensive plan. I disagree with everyone that is a pedestrian oriented location, because we hear from the council that those sidewalks are just not adequate. And here you have two sidewalks like side by side and a big gap between Mobile and which has the updated sidewalk And then we're going to get one in Mercy. And then they'll have an updated sidewalk. This is a great opportunity if they're looking at that site to make those type of improvements to get that streetscape that Olivet wants. But they have to be aware that it's, again, this is the same discussion we just had previously. You know, you just don't invest in the city of Olivet within the walls of your tenant space. The community expects you to invest in our community as a whole in there. And there are opportunities to improve that sidewalk, add the landscaping, and make that building look a lot better than what it is right now. If they're going to tear it down, that's even better because we have an opportunity to get something closer to Chapter 428 in our architectural designs. So,
And from a process standpoint, you know, if we were to approve this text amendment, though, they would still have to go through
they still have to go through
the
a
whole
process.
process, and that's what we could.
We're
talk
just
about.
talking about an amendment to the COR
Right.
district.
Right. Yep.
But also, if I heard from the commission correctly, I can verify some information and look at the existing apartments that we have and what type of services are provided, both on the older units and then on the newer developments in there. I did provide you at least four of our neighboring communities and the regulations, they whether they permitted them or not. The next step, I'd like to take a look at what conditions or applications they provided and also go take a look at some of these sites and what improvements that they're doing.
I do think beyond the multifamily, you know, to your point, there are homes that electricity breaks down or things go wrong and you sit there with wet towels or whatnot. And where do you go? What's your emergency when you have quilts and that your stackable laundry doesn't serve, or, you know, you can't get a generator out. And I mean, I had power out for almost 48 hours within a month ago. So I do understand those things happen during storms and trees fallings, and you're sort of panicking and how are we going to solve this problem? So I do see the value in that beyond just the multifamily housing and people that don't have accessible laundry. I think as long as there's restrictions around the safety, the accessibility of how they're traveling on foot, not lingering, and there's somebody operating, I think that this is reasonable to assume that it would bring value.
Do we know what, I assumed you finished.
Yeah.
Where the closest laundry facilities are?
It's 2 or 3 blocks west of 170. Once you pass the new development, there's a laundry facility right at the corner. It's just east of McKnight.
Oh, in University City.
Yes. It's on Olive Boulevard, east of McKnight.
Is that coin operated?
Yes.
It's closer to Page.
Oh, definitely, because it's just, that one's just because you're going north, it's a little longer, depending on where you measure, I guess.
I was also gonna say there's one on Woodson,
Woodson Road,
Woodson.
north of Page, yes.
just north of Page as well.
Mhm.
And then there's a newer one up by the Northwest Plaza, which is much further.
Yeah.
But it's a new
Oh.
facility.
Yeah, that's Best Wash.
Mhm.
I know all the ones.
No.
I did have a question. We keep on saying coin operated. My assumption is that, well,
Debit card.
is it all credit, debit, tap to pay
You
now?
can make it anything you want. You can go all coin, you can have an app on your phone, you can have scan to pay, you can have credit card readers
You don't have to
right
get
there.
everything out
Well,
with the quarters.
yeah.
Control my laundromat from my phone. Just to give you an example, we travel, my wife and I, a little bit. We were over in London and a guy called me up from O'Fallon and says, hey, this washing machine is doing this and this on my phone. I got on it. I stopped the machine. He had accidentally left a cord in one of his hoodies and water was leaking out. I stopped the machine. He opened it up. He goes, what I do now, I started the machine, and I'm in London, England. This happened in O'Fallon, Missouri. That's the
Technology.
That's pretty amazing.
It's
that
pretty
we
amazing.
have with coin laundries now, and I can show it to you easily.
One of the reasons I ask is, I guess, related to safety is that if there is maybe less cash or coin on premises, particularly for the
There's a lot
hours when
less
nobody's
cash.
there.
I've had mine in O'Fallon for 26 years now. And I had one incident about 20 years ago.
Okay.
And you just don't have, it's not the stigma, it's how you present it. If you have a very good quality laundry, the people take pride in it. And they really do. I've seen my customers, they don't let anything happen because they like a good, clean laundry, and they just don't allow it to happen.
Okay, good. All right, well then, Carlos, I think you got a little bit of homework and we'll talk about it more at the next meeting, probably.
There isn't any action for us to take tonight.
No action tonight. Thank you for coming in.
All right.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
So August 6th, Thursday, August 6th will be our next meeting. We'll try to have that information available.
I'll be here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And I assume no public comments on that,
Bear
Carlos?
with me one second. I still have several people online. If there's anybody that would like to speak in regards to this agenda item, show your hand. I lost two people asked.
Dropped like flies. Okay. That's a no. Okay, great. We'll move on to D, text amendment, condominiums.
Chairman, another text amendment to bring forward to your attention. And again, there's two types. There are those that are initiated by the city, of course, trying to further our goals and objectives with our comprehensive plan. And then those that are submitted by by a private party that's looking to do some improvements. This is somewhat of a hybrid, but there's also a third part. One is when portions of your code are not in conformance with state statute. And in this case, we have a process for creating condominiums. As a matter of fact, we did one maybe 6-8 months ago for across the street. The townhouses are condominiums in there, but the wording in our code notes that it's permitted for multiple family buildings, and it keeps using the term family, which is pretty much reference to residential. And in no other section does it say that anything outside of a residential could be a condo. And state statutes says that cities and municipalities cannot put in their zoning code, building codes, or other types of codes, restrictions from any property becoming a condo type of property. In there. So we had a discussion with our city attorney, and we're recommending, to remove those sections of multiple, nothing in the code would change except that the terms multifamily would be removed from the purposes and intent. And that's the only time that it's used in that process. I know a little history about this because I wrote the code back in 2002 in there, and it's always been a concern of the condos are always an interesting thing. They're great in there, and they're great while they're maintained. But when things happen, you're dealing with multiple property owners, and it's hard to get consensus, as we all know here. No pun intended. But that leads to the difficulties in there. So at that time, that was our recommendation, because we do have some properties in all of that would be ripe for condo type of conversion for commercial use. And that's always been a concern because, again, it's hard to get improvements done unless indentures are done well in there. And I think we know that now within the state, whether that change occurred recently, that we can't restrict it to a specific type of use. We should change ours in there. Our code, though, what I like about it, still has a requirement that when you do a plat or even a condo plat, you have to prepare indentures. They are reviewed by the commission. They are reviewed by the council. They are reviewed by the city attorney. So we have that mechanism in place to ensure that the articles are strong and in place. One example is across the street. Those townhouses have sprinkler systems in there, and it's in a commercial type of environment, that you have to get those sprinkler systems checked and reviewed and tested in there. So we made sure, as property owners buy these individual units, that it was clear within their indentures that they're responsible to get these sprinkler systems tested annually and submit those reports to our fire marshal. That there's no questions that this is not going to be collected. But that's just one sample in there.
would this provision cover that one proposal that came before us a few months ago for the car condos?
Absolutely, and
Was
that's
that
why
you?
they are here. We're still working with them in the process and looking at the codes. They have intent to doing a text amendment themselves. And there, this issue would, what they're proposing, again, questions within the light industrial district where housing is permitted. They're getting into the auto business, it kind of takes them in a different tier in there. But again, the code allows auto, or they're by right or by special permit primarily in there. But this issue would conflict with the grand scheme of what they would like to do in their process. Somebody can still do these these individual garages and storages like a mini warehouse in there, but they're looking for something,
Right, the next
a
level.
little bit more elaborate than that.
Okay. Well, since it conflicts with state statute and our city attorney is telling us to do it, I don't know how much discussion this really merits. Attorneys are always right, as we know,
Yes, we are.
So I don't have anything else on it if anybody wants to make a motion,
I make a motion.
go for it.
Motion to recommend to the city council a text amendment to amend chapter 405 of the subdivision regulations, specifically section 405.060 condominiums, plats, and additional requirements, removing references limiting condominium plats to multifamily buildings as presented in the memorandum from the Department of Planning and Community Development dated July 3rd, 2026.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Powell. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second has been made. Carlos.
Okay, I'll let the minutes reflect that Ms. Nat has left. I know she had an engagement at 8:30. All right, so Commissioner Ford,
Approved.
Commissioner Ragsdale,
Approved.
Commissioner Powell,
Approved.
Commissioner Wallop,
Approved.
and the motion passes unanimously 4-0. Okay, so the next step is taking this, the council will have, even it's initiated by the city, will have to hold a public hearing. That public hearing would be scheduled for August 25th.
Okay.
In the meantime, we do have the representatives of Walters Way here. They're still pursuing the project and doing their due diligence. They'll be working and coming to the commission for a text amendment before they start putting their full plan design in place. They have met with our fire marshal and our building officials to get more background as trying to expedite the process.
Okay, great. Is there anything you wanted to say before you don't have to? Okay. All right, great. Thanks for coming. All right. We're just zipping right along here. Let's go to number 5, 2024 comprehensive plan update.
Chairman, at this time, I'm going to ask if we can defer that. We're down to 4 members, and then we should be back and ready to go back in August.
Okay. Then we will move on to other business meeting minutes. And I see at least 2 meeting minutes, I think April 16th, 2026 and July 2nd, 2026. Anybody want to acknowledge?
I acknowledge receipt of meeting minutes from April 16th, 2026 and July 2nd, 2026.
Great. All right, then reports.
Chairman, and we have listed on there our schedule. Our next meeting will be Thursday, August 6th. The follow-up meeting will be August 20th. Please let me know on your attendance because it is getting, as we get towards the school season and that start.
I won't be here on August 20th.
I won't either.
Okay, so that gets me down to 5 members. Because we do have a new member. I'll let our city liaison discuss that, but we'll have a new member that will be starting for our August 6th meeting. We'll also have to go through the election of officers. So we'll put a placeholder on our agenda for that August 6th meeting. And then our September meetings are 3rd and 17th, probably September 3rd, when the new person kind of gets settled in. We'll go through, I may invite the police chief to talk about safety procedures and we'll go through the meeting formats and all that. And then in October, maybe arrange with the city attorney to come in and again, have a Q&A with the commission and any questions regarding the process and the role of the commission and such, for all the members, in there. The city council has a meeting scheduled for next week. It should in there. We do have 2 public hearings, but those will be scheduled in their August meeting. In there, we just posted the information or sent it to the St. Louis County, and in there, those will be for Rick's Ace Hardware for their outdoor canopy in there, and the vehicle digital the diagnostic center on Bauer Boulevard in there. Be glad to answer any specific questions or comments if there's regarding developments. I'm sure everybody's seen the sign up at the ramp heading southbound on 170 that now includes the Texas Roadhouse. Apparently that will be part of the Olive Crossing development in there. Couple of things just so you are aware of that, because they would have to make the application. But right now, the council has authorized or given the developer the option to convert the office building to two retail or restaurant type of uses, and it looks like that's the option they're going to go. Before they can do that, they need to subdivide the property, and there, so you'll probably see some type of plat come into play within the next couple of months, and then we're still trying to pin down when the roadhouse itself would be submitting for their permits or applications. And we haven't heard anything about what the second user would be on that site. The hotel component is still part of this process. It was approved, I got to say, last November, plus or minus a month. And in that process, the assumption is that you're ready to apply for permits and building permits, and they still haven't in there. So I know our city manager's been kind of pushing to get that process going. That hotel is still, to the best of our knowledge, nothing has changed about the hotel brand and building and what's been reviewed and approved coming in. So,
They regraded right there, haven't they?
Yes.
Since, yeah.
yes, they did.
Okay.
And then of course you've seen the improvements on Dillman and Industrial and Olive. They're doing now the Price and Olive. And there's been a couple of hiccups at that corner because there was some unknown utilities that gas, which is the worst of all of them. That wasn't they was not properly identified by the gas company themselves. So yeah, that should be a week or two hold up.
Okay.
All right.
All right, great. Kate?
Yeah, so on July 8th, we had the Neighborhood Improvement District NID chat with the mayor, which was very well attended. It was great to see so many people who came out, had interesting questions. And so if you were not able to attend but want to learn more about kind of where we are right now, all that information is on the city's website. We don't yet have it clearly scheduled when the council is going to look again at a work session to take the feedback that we heard from that meeting and kind of rework the initial draft to include some of that feedback. So it's an ongoing process, but it was really helpful to have that community meeting to hear questions and get some good feedback. On August 4th, our council work session will be taking place, and 2 topics of interest. One is we'll be discussing flock cameras. And then the other is the Indian Meadows Pavilion, which has been problematic for the residents who live close to it. So they are 2 complicated issues and topics, and I think it's really good that the city council is taking the time to really look into both of these and make a decision that aligns with who we are as a city, what our residents need and have asked for, and how we can honor the needs and the character of our community in both of these circumstances.
What is a flock camera?
That is a great question. So flock cameras are license plate. I don't exactly know what it stands for, but they're license plate reader cameras that are positioned typically on intersections that are used by police to find criminals based on their license plate to understand where they are. And there has been some controversy over how that technology is being used for immigration enforcement, how it's being used, misused on occasion by police officers tracking partners. So it's a complicated topic and issue, and again, one that I think it's good that we are taking the time to look more into and understand better.
Great.
Yeah. And then at our last meeting, we did approve a slate of new commissioners. And so Clark Hickman is the new commissioner who will be here on PCDC. He has some experience serving on a planning commission for Maplewood previously. It seemed to me in the interview that his experience on that commission will be somewhat different from his experience on this commission, but it was nice to have someone who had some experience, doing plan reviews. And so, and we were really excited that we had more candidates than we had spots available. It's a happy problem. Obviously, then we can't give everybody a position on a commission, but sometimes it's pulling teeth to find people to fill commission spots, and we had more applicants than we did commission openings. So that was a very happy problem to have.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm sure I speak for the commission members. We'll be happy to have a full suite of commission members, if for no other reason than scheduling purposes, and make sure we got everybody. Okay, great. Anything else, Kate?
That's all. Thank you.
All right. Well, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting at 8:51 p.m.
Thank you.